Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we're going to do one of my favorite designs, and that is a mantle style card, this time a 5x7 Halloween mantle with some awesome Simon Says stamp dies. So this is mostly a die cut card, and it uses a lot of components from the newest release from Simon Says Stamp. In addition to these new products, we're using lots of previously released products as well and doing a lot of mix and matching. First, I started out with a 5x7 panel of Dolphin Lawn Fawn cardstock, and I have die cut the previously released window webs in the largest size from one of the long sides of this panel. Then I'm taking the Crypt Grit Paste and a palette knife with a Hero Arts brick stencil. This is kind of a more grungy style, less perfect stencil. And I am stenciling this brick wall background. What we're doing for building this particular scene is we are building the wall back behind where this shelf, I said mantle, but it's more really of a shelf. Think like a little shelf display in a kitchen or somewhere like that. And I'm imagining this in maybe even in a witch's lair or something. And there's this web window peeking out to the outside, which we'll design here in a minute. My favorite die of all time now to use as a mantle or shelf, ledge, whatever you want to call it, is this amazing wood plank from Simon Says Stamp. I've die cut it from caramel cardstock, and I'm using some gathered twigs and a direct to paper technique to pick up that color in the wood grain of the cardstock. The die cuts the wood grain pattern, and just by adding a little bit of ink, it really brings out the detail. You'll notice with my stenciling, I did a very messy application, so it's very imperfect. I'm placing foam adhesive on the back of my shelf, and now I am going to place this right along the bottom edge of my card. We're going to butt it right up. We want every ounce of space possible to build this scene. Next, I have a 5x7 piece of smooth white cardstock that we're going to layer back behind this, and I want to create a spooky Halloween scene outside so that we're peeking through our web window to the outside. Of course, to create this, I'm using the amazing Tim Holtz Moon Mask stencils and some Distress Oxide ink. Using the solid moon mask, I'm going to go around this first with prize ribbon to build that nighttime scene. The great thing about this is we're only getting a peek, and we don't have to ink the entire panel. I only need to ink enough so that we can build our wonderful little moon so that when you're looking through the card, you see to the outside. Once I have the prize ribbon where I want, I'm going to go in with a little villainous potion and add some dark purple. Now, I extended the inking a little ways out, and that's mostly just to be able to get the blend that I want. Not all of this is going to be seen, obviously, but sometimes when you're ink blending, it just makes it easier to be able to kind of blend into where you're actually going to see the finished result. I'm using my glass mat from Glassboard Studio, and I also have some of these wonderful magnets that I'm using to help hold everything in place. For something like masking, this does work pretty well, although I did get rather inky with this, but that is okay. That means a good crafty time has been had. We're going to take some black soot distress ink now and go over this entire scene, grunging it up, giving it this moody, dark black background. Oh, I love this so much. This is really the icing on the cake. And even though we're adding a lot of black soot, you still get those hints of blues and purples. Now for the moon itself, I am going to take a little fossilized amber in my blending brush, and we are going to apply that to the moon. Now, when you first apply this, you have to kind of just trust the process because it's very glaringly yellow, and that really doesn't match the vibe or feel. But I did want a yellow moon, something that wasn't going to blend into the background too much, especially since this is something that is in the background of the card, but I think that it really works to complete the overall scene. So what we're going to do is take our blue blending brush that we used to apply prize ribbon and go over that moon, which gives it a little bit more of a moody feel. Then I'm going to take whatever ink was left on my black set blending brush and add that in. To mute those harsh lines of the detail of the moon, I go back over it with the yellow blending brush. Then I'm going to place my solid mask back over the moon, and we are going to take a little frozen frog distress mica stain, and I was going to spray it, and then I thought, you know what, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to pick it up with my paintbrush, and we are going to give our sky some sparkly stars. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I have die cut this amazing haunted house. This is called the Halloween house. I've die cut it from smoke cardstock using the die. Then you place it in the embossing folder and run it through your die cutting machine to get the embossed detail. This house is incredible. The die set comes with the house, some ghosts, and pumpkins, and we're going to use all of them. I'm going to go over the entire house with another direct to paper technique using Hickory Smoke Distress ink. And I'm doing a very generous application, but you can see how the raised areas are picking up that inking, and it gives our house so much detail. For this scene, I'm imagining this shelf with a haunted house, a cloche with a jack-o'-lantern, and some little ghost shelf sitters. This isn't so much I was going to say realistic, but there is nothing realistic about any of this. This isn't like a scene where you're imagining a haunted house, you know, and you've built this greenery and whatever, and there's ghosts. You can definitely do that. But I wanted this to more be like a decor piece. I have a haunted house kind of similar to this. It doesn't have any cute ghosts coming out of the windows, but man, it would be cute if it did. And I thought it would be very fun to make this more as a decorative house sitting on a shelf rather than a house out in a, you know, scary neighborhood. But anyway, we are going to take some ghosts, which I have die cut from some Spellbinders brushed white cardstock. Now I know it doesn't translate here on the screen very well, but the brushed white has this subtle shimmer to it. It's not glitter, and it's not that plain white cardstock. I kind of did all of my white die cutting for my ghost today from that brushed white, and I love it. Spellbinders has some of the most amazing brushed cardstock colors, and I highly recommend all of them. In addition to my ghosts, I have some canned pumpkin. This is a Lawn Fawn cardstock color that I used to die cut the pumpkins, and we're placing some in front of the house and some back behind the open windows. We're going to be popping up our house onto the shelf with some foam adhesive. Now, one of the reasons I opted for a 5x7 card is A, I wanted more real estate to be able to use more of the die cuts to build this scene, and B, this haunted house is a big, nice size. It can be a focal point all on its own, and so I needed something that allowed me to be able to include other elements into the card, and the 5x7 fit the bill. I've been really loving 5x7 cards lately. I know tons of you love to use 5x7 cards, and I think I might finally be on that bandwagon. So we're going to start with the house. It is our biggest element, and I want to stick this right onto my shelf. Look how cute that's going to look. So I am going to go ahead and glue this now down to my inked background. And look at how cute the moon looks peeking through our little web window. Love this. Next, I have some bats. These are from a previous release. These are from the Bat Trio, and I'm just showing the house die there. There's the Bat Trio dies, and I am going to place most of these out against the moon in the background, but we'll also place one of them into our scene. It doesn't have to be realistic at all. Next, we are going to work on building our cloche. This cloche is one of my favorite new products from Simon Says Stamp. It's called the Classic Cloche, and I've die cut it from some fog cardstock. We're going to take a little Lost Shadow ink, and we are going to ink this around the edges of our cloche to give it that glass dome effect. Because I've added shading in a couple of other places, I felt like this big element definitely needed a little of that. The bottom of the cloche is going to be this matte gold cardstock from SPOOKTACULAR. In the cloche set, you do get 2 cloches. This is the larger of the 2, and it is fantastic. I am going to insert a video here on the screen where I have used it for a snowman cloche card so you can see it in action in another way. This is the wonderful little jack-o'-lantern set. This is called the Jolly Pumpkins, and I have also taken a wonderful die, the Halloween cat, and I am using the hat from that set to adorn my pumpkin. So our jack-o'-lantern in the cloche is going to be adorned with this cute little witch hat. I love that you can really mix and match with all of these different components. Inside the cloche, we're going to build a beautiful floral arrangement that the pumpkin is sitting in. Now, we're going to kind of imagine probably more that the floral arrangement is sitting and the cloche is sitting in it, I guess. You'll see as we start to build this. But I love greenery and leaves and all of that when you're building a scene card like this, as I feel like it softens the effect, and it's very similar to how a lot of people might decorate. I am a huge fan of tucking fun little elements into different greenery or leafy branches, all of that good stuff. Now, all of these wonderful leaves are from the Autumn Arrangement set. Now, this set definitely works great for autumn, Thanksgiving, all of the, fall feels without the Halloween feel to it, and it does come with its own pumpkin. I'm opting not to use that pumpkin today, but instead we're using all of the greenery that has been die cut from a couple of shades of green, some beautiful golden yellows, a berry color, and even a dark deep red. All of this is to give that fallish kind of feel to the card, but still maintain the Halloween vibe. I'm going to build up all of the greenery, but the top of the cloche is not really going to have anything in it. I think that with the witch hat, it gives the pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern enough height. Now, the jack-o'-lantern also comes, and again, this is called the Jolly Pumpkins. It does come with a smaller jack-o'-lantern as well, which I ended up not using on the card. I do have it die cut, but I really just felt like I didn't need it. One of my best tips when you're creating a card and you have prepped all the pieces and you have everything ready to go is to sometimes take something away. A lot of times you will want to use all of the things and you have all of the things, and I know you're laughing because this card has all of the things on it. But sometimes the best thing you can do when designing a card is to remove something. And in this case, I really thought I would try to tuck another jack-o'-lantern on, and I didn't feel I needed it. You'll see that because we're going to add in some little ghost shelf sitters as well, and then finish off with some additional greenery. I ended up using not all of the greenery pieces and not all of the jack-o'-lanterns here. So now that we have our 2 biggest elements, here are those sets we're using. We are going to grab our adorable ghosts. This is the Trick or Treat ghost, and they are precious. Now, if you were looking to create maybe just a different kind of Halloween scene, you could do the haunted house with these ghosts and have them trick or treating. I think that would be adorable as well. So I'm going to build these pretty much like you see on the packaging for this set. We have a ghost, a little cat, and a superhero ghost. I love that the ghosts are all dressed up as something other than a ghost. I think that is so funny and cute. The ghosts were die cut from the brushed white cardstock, and you will notice touches of glitter cardstock, luxe cardstock used here and there. The bats were die cut from a luxe cardstock from SimonsayStamp that I love. The witch hat here for the ghost was die cut from a black glitter, but the jack-o'-lantern's witch hat was die cut from a solid black, but he has a luxe glitter cardstock band. So lots of just little glittery touches to add to that spooky Halloween flair. I love the little cat outfit, and I also really love the little mask for the superhero ghost. I just think they're hilarious. I don't know. They're so cute. These are so much fun. I am a huge fan of fully die cut scene cards, which you guys probably know. Die cutting is my fave. And so this is so much fun to mix and match all of these pieces to build a one-of-a-kind card design. So we are close to finishing up the majority of our actual mantle. And you might be saying, but Nicole, where are we going to put that sentiment? That is a great question. Not very often, but sometimes I get so excited about the scene I'm building that I kind of forget to plan my sentiment. Often I know what I'm going to use and I have a general idea, but in this case, I really didn't. I did not plan for this whatsoever, and that is unlike me. And the shelf does provide probably the best place for that greeting. And so you're going to see that here after I get all of the greenery. I'm going to have some of the greenery hanging down onto the shelf as well. And the little florals and all of that good stuff. We're basically filling in now to give a well-rounded design. But for today's sentiment, I actually picked something that I had already done. So you aren't going to see me actually create the sentiment on screen, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. There is a Halloween Icons set from Spellbinders, which is a better press plate set. It came out in 2023. It is amazing. But the greetings in this set, they either better press or foil, because you can foil with your better press plates all at one time. And then you use the die and it die cuts a bunch of sentiments all at one time. So the beauty of it is you end up with lots of extra sentiments. Well, I had a ton of extra sentiments. And because of that, I went ahead and just grabbed them, and I'm going to make one of these work. So I'm going to play around. Do I want it right in the center? Well, that flower is hanging down there. That would be fine, but I don't think it needs it. I do like the little sentiment right underneath the Halloween house, but that side of the card feels a little heavier than the other side. And in order to balance it, I think that if we scoot that sentiment over to the left underneath the cloche and the little ghost shelf sitters, and kind of in between the left side of the card and the hanging florals, it's going to look the best. So I'm going to put some foam adhesive back behind this and pop it up right here. And I feel like this was the perfect finishing touch. Now these are foiled with some silver foil. I used Happy Haunting here, but any of those sentiments would work. And I love it. Next, we are going to take some of these silver mix gems from Spellbinders in the little teeny tiny size and fill in the center of our small flowers. We'll create a card base from smooth white cardstock, and we will place our panel on a 5x7 card, and that is going to finish it up. Thank you so much for joining me today for this Halloween scene shelf card featuring Simon Says Stamps and Dies. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community.